Heiße meine Brüder und Schwestern, diese Ordens willkommen. Willkommen sehr zurück in der Bestrog. Ich bin eine Kepler. And today, y'all, we are talking about one of my favorite World War II pistols, the Walther P38. That's right, y'all. We are going into none other than the infamous Walther P38, the iconic SS pistol. Now, I want to put this out here. Many people think of, well, this being an SS pistol, and a lot of idiots also think the Luger is the only SS pistol. But the thing is, the Germans use a large variety in pistols. One of them being this, being a lot more than the Luger. In fact, it's actually stated that the Luger was replaced by this bad boy right here. The Walther P38 is actually a combination between the Luger and the Colt 1911. Why do I say that? Kind of obvious. One, its design variation is somewhat like the Luger and a mix of the 1911. The 1911 mostly with the internal the outer body, while the internal body is mostly like the Luger and as well the extension of the barrel system compared to the shroud. Now, the Germans also did use Browning high-power pistols. They also used a lot of Italian-made firearms and such, but that's a wide variety. But let's get to this bad boy. Now, one major way we can understand of how it would have copied from the 1911 would be with its slide system. The slide system means it's, well, stays open like this. The fact is, this was actually a less jamming type of firearm. The magazine system doesn't have a push button or anything like that. You actually have this weird release magazine on the bottom, which many people think that's weird. Here's the thing, it kind of is, but it's kind of also neat. Now, the way you actually, end up, releasing it is the said slide system is you can either pull it back like so, or you could do this like you would do a 1911. That's right, 1911 design. There'll also be this really cool thing, that of which the 19 does not have, and that is a decocker. That is the most revolutionary idea you could ever see in firearms. Now, this doesn't have a round in it, y'all, so I want to put this out here. No round whatsoever. So it's dry fire. Now I'm going to show y'all a really cool thing. The weird thing is about this firearm is you could still fire this as soon as you put it back. As soon as you take it off safety, for example, you can then fire it again. But the problem is this thing has one hell of a trigger pull system. So it's probably, what I do is I just pull back the hammer and pull the trigger. It's a little easier then. So yeah. Now I hear many people already asking, Simpler, where'd you get this bad boy? Simple. You should know by now. My group at Albridge ended up having this bad boy in stock, and I knew I had to have it for historical sakes. Now, originally, I thought this was actually going to be from, well, Nazi Germany. Apparently, this is actually a Vichy French model. That's right. This is a model type pistol. It was used by the, well, French units of Vichy France, or in this case, Germany's puppet state of France. This is still probably far one of really cool pistols, and I do like these things. Unfortunately, I only have the one magazine with this, sadly, so yeah, it's kind of a disappointment, I know. Now, many people do want to know is, Templar, how great were these pistols? Well, seeing the fact that these replaced the said Luger, many people would say, oh, it did better than the Luger. You wouldn't go that far at saying that, because one, it was actually cost effective to make. For example, for every Luger you can make at least 3 of these. Or, well, 5 of these, I should say. Because one, these things were extremely cheap to manufacture. Which is kind of why many people actually started to adopt this. In fact, there was actually a weird competition between this, the Luger, and other pistols. So, which one won is kind of left to anyone's guess. Because when I tried looking up my own research on this, it never made any sense on which one ever won. So, yeah. Because one gun in one in this field, the other one in that field. The list goes on and on. Now, I have not seen a mud test on this. I am not, I repeat, not going to throw this in mud. Because one, it would just be a disrespect, because to me, that is a disrespect to the firearm, so I'm not doing it. So if you're looking for a mud test, go somewhere else, because one, I am not doing that for this historical firearm. It will ruin it entirely, so I'm not doing that. Get that out of your head. Just get it out. Just go. Just get it out. Get it out. Kick it out of your head. Just get it out. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you to kick it out. Kicked it out? Good. Now we can get back to the review. Now, maybe what we'll want to know is, Templar, how good were these pistols? Well, seeing the fact that the Germans kept using them for a while is saying something. However, after a while, the Germans had to, well, tone it down with these models. What do you mean by tone it down? Simple. They had to make them smaller. They loved the design. They loved how it worked. Problem is, it was still a big, huge cost in manufacturing one of these, comparing to its little cousin, the Walther PPK, another known as James Bond's gun. So, yeah, this became that, apparently, which I'm still wondering how that ever happened. But yeah. Am I bad? Semi. But the weird thing is, Germany kept manufacturing this in countries, that of which were their satellite states or their puppet states. And the weird thing is, after World War II, France had hundreds of thousands of these pistols. The weird thing is, after World War II, apparently, during the Cold War, you saw these everywhere. In fact, I think we even see it in the film, I think we actually do see it in the film Siege of Jadotville, which I highly recommend watching that one. It's really awesome. But then we're also area of seeing that also being used in Japan. That's right. Apparently, somehow, the Japanese got a hold of these, and so did the Yakuza. So, the Yakuza's first ever semi-automatic pistol. At first, I thought this was a Japanese Imperial model, but because one, it had a stamped steel of the Imperial crest, but then I found out that wasn't the Imperial crest. What I did find out, though, is that these ones which are manufactured like this are very rare. So yeah, it's somewhat made. So yeah, this is made in France, and the fact is, though, I am still trying to find the historic wooden grip, because this plastic grip is kind of weird feeling in my hand, but yeah. However, it's actually stated that thousands of these were captured by the Soviets and Western allies. The fact is, the Soviets who captured these designed their own variation and turned it into the Makarov pistol. Or some people say that the Makarov was a copy off from the PPK. I don't know which one it was, so keep me out of it. But yeah, they copied from this design in order to make a good pistol. They didn't. I fired Makarovs in my time, and they kind of suck. So yeah. But France was the one who had a lot of these. Seeing to the fact that when Vichy France got taken over and was split between Nazi Germany, France, and Vichy France, the satellite state after World War II, who later became, well, the Nation Republic of France again, they were kind of out of pistols. Because one, a lot of their firearms were taken away, and doing so, the Germans, well, gave them their own pistols. And those which were Allied soldiers to Germany during Vichy France ended up using these pistols, mainly the officers. The weird thing is, I don't even know how I can even put this, but this is actually weird. This is really a weird story I can never explain, actually. Apparently, after World War II, the French kept using them long afterwards, even when they had newer designs and they found most of their old pistols. But the French saw this as a good pistol, and besides, they kind of got stuck with them, so they thought to themselves, you know what? Let's just use these leftover pistols. And the fact is, many times over, the French military loved these things and kept designing them. That was until the 1950s. That's right, this type of gun was last issued in the 1950s. So, yeah. Why the French got rid of it, I still don't know why. But the thing is, the French ended up using it in the Indochina War, or in other words, the early Viet Minh War, where a lot of these were captured by, you guessed it, the Viet Minh, later the Viet Cong. So, it's no wonder that the NVA ended up using this as a standard pistol, and apparently they later converted them to fire the Soviet-manufactured ammo that was fired from Tokharovs. Seeing the fact they rather prefer this than a Tokarov, that's saying something. Now, why don't y'all see me actually take this bad boy apart, shall we? Alright, y'all. Now, let's get into the disassembly and reassembly of the Walther P38. So, how would you actually first do this? Well, always make sure that the gun is unloaded, which it is. Pull back your system. Now, I would highly recommend putting this on safety. Rack back the system a little bit. Then, just pretty much push down your release system for safety. This does not come out. And then, that falls out in the process. There's our slide. Here's our barrel. And as well, our catch system right here. And as well, there are also various components, but that's about it. This is why the Luger was replaced by the Walther P38. Less parts to, well, manufacture this design. The fact is, these were, as you can see, easy to reassemble and disassemble. Here is our Walther system, as we see here. Coghammer still works. Without that safety latch system, we don't have any restrictions on it. Though what I do recommend actually worrying about is when it comes to reassembling it, you do have to worry about two major things. One, the hook right here is one of the major ones. Because there are hooking mechanisms right here that help the parts move, so I would highly recommend always making sure that these are down into the magazine area. Otherwise, it's going to be problematic later on. So, now, in order to reassemble this, all you gotta do is pretty much put it the same way as you took it apart. Put the piece like here. Always make sure it's pointing in the way like this, as you see. Slowly place it in, like so. This one is kind of a problematic part though, is because one, you gotta make sure to line it up correctly, otherwise it does like to be a pain. And the fact is, you're also supposed to put pressure on certain parts of the mechanism in order for it to be put in just as we saw. Now, make sure you put it in like so. This part does take some configuration and time to put it in. Always make sure to have it pressed down, otherwise it won't go in. Next, this will be where you end up sliding it in place for the guide rail system, as we can understand. Slowly put it in. Pull it back, slide a ways. Put up our pin to lock it in place. Magazine, and we're done. It's ready to go kill some Soviets. So, yeah. That is quite easy to disassemble and reassemble compared to the Luger. So, if y'all saw our last video on the Luger, it took a lot longer to disassemble it and then reassemble it than it did with this. Because one, it had various parts, that of which we have to put in place and make sure they are in the proper position. This, almost entirely easy, kind of like the 1911, except one, it doesn't have that major spring tension to it. So, this is configurably probably my favorite type of pistol of World War II, comparing that to most other pistols at that time period. So, yeah, I like this. Now, I see that y'all liked it when I got down and dirty and greased up with trying to look at this beautiful bad boy. Now, I can also see many people already saying, Templar, why in God's name were these such a good pistol? These things don't look that iconic. I've never seen them mostly used. Well, that's because not that many of them were actually made. In fact, they weren't made as much as the Lugers, because one, the Luger had a lot of time to manufacture the Lugers, and the fact is, many times over, these were scrapped after World War II. In fact, the majority of these were so badly destroyed that it's actually stated that at least only a few, like, for every one of these you find at least 10 Lugers. That's saying something. See, the fact that one, Attlebridge only had one of these, and they had like 3 to 4 Lugers, I can see why. So, yeah. But the weird thing is, these guns were still being used. And the fact is, a lot of these were even captured by the American forces after World War II, so they might be in your granddad's, your great-great-granddad's, or granddad, I don't even know, you get my point, your grandfather who fought in World War II. They might be in his, well, army drawer or whatever. But, yeah. Though there is actually a story that a New York cop ended up using one of these in the 1963, I think. And the fact is, he actually stated that this gun saved his life rather than him relying on, well, 45 ACP punching power. He relied on penetrating power of the 9mm Luger. Now, as y'all soon see when it comes to me firing this with the GoPro, unfortunately, with the GoPro, I ended up using 9mm Remington. Yeah, the shooting range I went to didn't have 9mm Luger, unfortunately. Because one, you got to use 9mm Luger with this, otherwise it won't run like it should. So, yeah. I don't know why either. It's weird. But why don't you see for yourself, shall we? Well, I hope you all like that little bit of a infamous type of look at me firing off the gun. Now, I know many of you all see me in my German camo and such. Well, that's why I love the German uniforms. They look so badass. Now, the sad part is about the Walther P38, it has such a bad reputation for being the sidearm of the SS. However, the SS would have used cheaper quality or, well, any type of pistol that they could get their hands on. In fact, even regular German soldiers used any type of pistol. In fact, anybody could have used a Walther P38. In fact, even partisans use these things, which I can see why. But yeah, it's the iconic pistol of Nazi Germany. Sadly, though, we don't see many of these anymore, which is kind of a sad thing. Because one, they had a short run. I think like less than 20 years or so of industry. So only, or maybe a little over it. So that's saying something of how sad or how long these things actually lasted. The very hard part to believe is how long it was used and how much it was used as a standard military weapon. But the really bad thing to say about it is, one, it may have been used by the SS, but it was a darn good pistol, and it should not have been stopped being used. To this day, I'm still sad that no one uses this firearm anymore. I don't know why. I like this a little more than 1911, and that's saying something. I'm a 45 ECP guy. I'm not a 9mm guy, but yet when I'm holding this, I feel like I could take on a group of bad guys if they ever come my way. Problem is, though, is finding the magazines. I'm not kidding. Finding these mags is extremely hard, which is very weird, to say the least. But anyways, guys, like and subscribe for more if any of y'all want to take a look at more history and firearms. And as well, guys, if any of y'all have an idea of a firearm we should do in history, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to get right into it. Anyways, guys, like and subscribe, and as well, hopefully to see y'all next time. And as well, click that bell button for notifications when we have a next community type of hotline come up, or whenever we actually have something else that comes up as well. Anyways, guys, it's been Celtic Templar. Hope to see y'all in the next one. Have a great day, y'all.